Okay, so we are continuing on learning Twinmotion in this series. And right now, what we're looking at is just quite simply how do we do output on a Twinmotion file. Not getting advanced, we're not going to do any camera tricks or anything like that yet, like depth of field or filters or any of that stuff. We're nuts and bolts level, right? So what I want to do is set up a couple of views. I want to think like a photographer on the site, and I am trying to get some views established that perhaps can help reveal, some of the site characteristics. So, like one of the things I might do right here is let's set up a camera view that establishes, exactly how steep this slope is. So, to do that, again, I've got my core list right over here on the left. I'm going to work my way down, and we are going to be working in media mode. First button right here, the camera. And to add a view to the set of images that we can create, we're just going to click the plus symbol. Click. Okay. This moves me into media mode. It's pretty important to note right here. Once I'm in media mode, I'm no longer working globally with my settings. I am working within the settings for this image. We'll show that here in just a second. Let's get a few more images put together. Again, I'm going to be careful. I haven't developed this site very far yet. I want to be careful not to get things like this terrible background here. So just how you're framing your view, how you're getting things put together, starting to think about foreground, background, all those things are important. Gosh, I should, continue on with the grass, but not going to for this series. Yeah, kind of like just a little bit of the pine needles in there. So let's add another image. And let's come across to this side. Let's add one more. Yeah, let's go a little bit more of a bird's eye view. Looking down and into the site. There we go. That'll work. So I've got three images. Definitely want to name these. So 3 dots at the top. Rename. Bird. Click. Rename. Cool trees. And rename cross slope. Okay, naming the images makes them a lot easier to find later. And now, once I have this set up, I can come across and I can work my settings, my lighting, and etc. for every single image independently. So it's not going to change the global settings, like if I move or change the time of day, moving the sun. It's not going to change that for my global settings or either one of these images. So let's look at how to do that. I'm going to click on the More button. We are going to go to Location. Let's get the shadows moving away from the camera. A little bit too much there. It's a little bit better. You know what I'm looking for in particular is contrast across the surface where the building might be. I almost always go for, a standard rule of thumb, getting the shadows falling away from the camera. I can't quite do that unless I start monkeying with True North, which I definitely don't want to do. But that rule exists primarily so I have good contrast across the corner so I have good depth on my rendering. And I think actually that's going to work pretty well. I've got a good amount of light on this face, different amount of light on that, good contrast in the trees, highly acceptable. So I'm going to go back to my images again, then let's go to the next one. Let's go again to More, and let's get those shadows again moving away a little bit. That's going to work. And now at this point, I've got a whole range of things that I can do in this as well. And we're just going to focus right now just on location and weather because, I'm in the Himalayas. Probably less interested in rain, maybe more interested in snow. Right? So super easy to do. Just kind of pushing and pulling that around. I like it. That's fun. Let's go back to my core images. And on this bird's eye view, let's change the time of day one more time. And again, in this particular view, what I'm looking for is the difference between these three faces. So I'm trying to get that sun angle, that time of day right, so I get a decent amount of contrast and that I can read those as three different surfaces. A little tricky to find, but I think it's going to be right around in here. There we go. Good enough. Okay, so let's also set up a little bit of a different weather pattern for this one. There we go. Okay, so I've got those three views set up. We can come back to images now, and we are ready to go ahead and render these images. Oh, I did want to say, so we're in media mode, right? Remember I said I would talk a little bit more about that. If I come to my global settings in the sun, you notice I don't have access to this. So anytime that I'm working within this media tab and I have it active, right? So I'm working with these things. This button will be up. To exit out of media mode so I can get back to my global settings, all I need to do is click quit media mode. And now you'll notice I have sort of my global settings back up that I can work with, which is nice. Anytime I'm still in this global mode, I can still come back to these, and they are all available for me to snap to immediately as a series of views. Okay, so from here, really simple to render these out. I'm just going to go to the export mode. I'm going to click on empty, so I'm rendering out my images. I'm going to select the images that I want to export, and then hit start export. But let's look at just a few settings, because I don't know exactly what I'm sending out of Twinmotion. If I click more, you'll notice my format is .png ping files, which are fabulous. Get no problem there. Stereo mode, that would give me a left eye, right eye, so I could actually have more of a 3D image if I wanted that. The defaults I'm okay with. Motion blur I'm leaving off. Refinement I'm leaving off. These are quick test renders. I don't need something super nice. Max lighting, you know, it can do more light bounces. Takes a little bit more time. Again, I'm way too early in the project right now to worry about super nice renderings. I don't have resolution here. I don't know how big my images are. So let's go back into media mode, back to my images, and let's look at where I can find that. So if I want to increase the resolution of the image, I can do that. So again, per image, right here underneath more, you will see the camera settings and format. So underneath the camera, I've got a few things like depth of field. Again, those are things once I start moving towards final renderings that I can start working with. I'm most interested right now in format. And you can see right here, I have a 1920 by 1080 rendering. Tiled rendering is best purposed when I have something massive in resolution. Right now, I've got the lowest possible, 1920 by 1080. You just need to know what your output is. For my class, our output right now is the internet. And so 1920 by 1080 is perfect. It's the lowest resolution available unless you go to customize right here. So it's exactly what we need. So I'm good with the defaults. I'm going to hit start export. It's going to ask me where to save them to. Desktop is fine for right now. So just hit select folder, and this should only take a second to render these out. So there's cool trees.png, cross slope, some arbitrary tile pattern, and other images. It hasn't rendered that last one out yet, but you get the idea. Oh, there's bird's eye view right there. Easy peasy, right? Super fast, super easy, super creative. That's what Twinmotion's all about. Thanks, y'all.